Good afternoon. There's a concept I've been thinking about for a while in the light of recent events, both in Iran and in Venezuela. And it goes back to something that may seem unrelated at first. Back in the second half of 1982, I was finishing my bachelor's degree in political science, minor in history at Duquesne University. And one of my best professors was Dr. Sam Astorino, who was both a PhD historian and a practicing attorney. And he emphasized something throughout his legal history course in the fall semester of 1982 that has remained with me for many years, long after Professor Astorino has passed on. And one of the first things he taught us about the American legal system, and something that I believe can be applied to others, but he was emphasizing our English-derived American legal system. He said, don't confuse what's right and wrong with what's legal and illegal. And he said these are independent variables that attorneys, for example, are not really concerned about what's right and wrong so much as what's legal and illegal. And this is where they offer their counsel. They don't want to hear so much about, gee, I'm really in the right on this issue, as they do. I think my rights have been violated. I think the law has been violated. This is what they deal with. And the corollary to this is something that he also expressed. He said that if what's right and what's legal come together, it's a happy accident. Be happy that it happened, because it doesn't have to, and it doesn't happen as often as you might think. Now, I think there's a popular tendency in the United States to look at these two variables as intertwined. We have had decades of TV shows with crusading attorneys fighting for the underdog, what's right, the wrongfully accused. And we've seen it time and time again in entertainment, and it's just not true. Now, I believe that this principle of the independence of right and wrong from legal and illegal is extensible. And we're seeing it today with people that, with events today and people's reactions to them. For example, and I'm not going to tell you which side to be on, but you look at the arrest of Presidente Nicolas Maduro by the DEA, assisted by 150 American warbirds and Delta Force and some Rangers. People are screaming that this is illegal. Maybe it is, but under American law, it appears to have been legal. You can say that it violated international law. You're free to do so. Whether it is or not, I'll leave that up to you. This is entirely separate whether it was right or wrong to depose a oppressive, violent dictator and bring him to some form of justice. Personally, I'd like to see him convicted in an American court, sentenced to prison, and then extradited to a free Venezuela to face justice from his own people for his misdeeds. But that's an ideal. I'm not sure it's going to happen. He may end up dying in a federal prison here. He may end up getting pardoned. Who knows? I think the record of federal prosecutors is that when they get an indictment, you're pretty much dead to rights. They have enough evidence not just to indict but to convict. I'd be very, very surprised if he was acquitted or even if it was a hung jury. Now, was this right? Perhaps. I don't see it being wrong, although there can be some unforeseen circumstances. The enemy always has a vote. So do neutrals for that matter, fence sitters, and people who are just learning about the issue. So when you look at the operation in Venezuela, just consider that legality under American law and also under international law, for what it's worth, is entirely separate from whether it's right or wrong. You will see Venezuelans, especially in the Venezuelan diaspora, where they have no fear of the regime in Latin America and in the United States, celebrating that it was right. You will see people on the American and European left, and also left of center Latin Americans, and especially their leaders, saying it was entirely wrong. How can you do this? This is illegal. This is wrong. But those are independent variables. What's illegal can actually be right, and what's perfectly legal can be morally reprehensible and repugnant. Consider the actions within dictatorships of people who are just following orders. They're doing what's legal. But putting people onto trains to go to the camps or go to the gulag, highly immoral, highly wrong. Independent variables. Then we look at Iran. I don't think there is anything wrong with the anti-regime demonstrations. My support is for the people of Iran, not the regime. Absolutely, they are in the right. Go on, Persians, go on with your good self. Whether they wind up with the return of the Pahlavi dynasty or a constitutional monarchy, perhaps with Reza Shah as a head of state, or they wind up with a presidential form of government, some form of democracy. That is the ideal situation. The absolute worst would be the survival of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, and his merry gang of mullahs and Islamic regime minions. That is the absolute worst outcome. Personally, at the moment, I'm betting on the triumph of the Iranian people, the people in the streets, the demonstrators, not the mullahs. The longer this goes on, the greater the chances of success, the greater the chance of it growing. And as we may be seeing now, members of the security apparatus going neutral, refusing orders, or even switching sides. I'm old enough to remember Romania 1989. In fact, I remember the fall of the Somoza regime in Nicaragua and the original misbegotten Iranian Revolution of 1979, where security forces refused to intervene, in some cases switched sides. That's a sign that the regime is on its last legs. The only way that they can pull their iron out of the fire now, pull their chestnuts out, is through mass repression. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. They may try it. I think that under Barack Obama and then President Biden, there would have been no consequences. I think under President Trump, there are liable to be consequences to mass repression, that the Iranian people would not be disappointed. After all, you can ask the members of the Iranian nuclear weapons program at the moment about American resolve and President Trump's willingness to pull the trigger. Oh, wait a minute, you can't. They're all dead, or at least not in a position to develop atomic weapons for the time being. Now, consider this. I believe that with all my heart, that the Iranian people in the streets are right. The members of the regime who are fighting them are certainly in the wrong. But getting back to those independent variables, what the people in the streets are doing is highly illegal under Iranian law. Thou shalt not defame Mr. Khamenei. Thou shalt not defy the regime. But what they're doing, all the crimes they're committing against the regime are all right and good. The regime that has legality on its side is certainly in the wrong. So I leave you with this analytical framework. Don't confuse right and wrong with legal and illegal. They're two totally separate variables. And as Professor Astorino used to hammer into us, if they come together, it's a happy accident that should be appreciated. But it's not going to happen a whole lot. So as we look at Venezuela, we look at Iran, just try to keep this in mind for a bit. And don't think that because something is illegal means that it's wrong. Just because something is blessed by law means that it's right. And just consider this too with any controversial event of a political or legal nature especially. So, that's my video for today. If you like what you've seen and heard, please subscribe. Keep my channel going. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. Unless you're an Ayatollah, in which case you can go to hell. Or if you're Maduro and you get privileges to use the computer in the federal lockup, I don't want to hear from you. But anyone else, feel free to comment, like, share, which is always good. If you're a teacher or professor, use it in the classroom. If you're a student, introduce it to your classroom. I'm always happy to see the word get out by almost anybody. Of course, not named Ayatollah or Maduro. So thank you for your time, and I'll be catching you down the road again. Hopefully not too long. Thank you, and once again.